Hello everyone, and welcome to my YNR Official 24 channel. The laptop has been found. Billy and Phyllis flee, leaving Victor to die on the floor is the kind of nightmarish, heart-stopping twist that only the young and the restless can deliver. A moment where decades of grudges, betrayals, and reckless ambition collide in one catastrophic instant. And in that instant, Genoa City changes forever. It begins in suffocating silence, the kind that presses against the ears like a warning, broken only by the faint hum of electronics in the dimly lit Newman office. The laptop, Victor Newman's laptop, sits on the desk like a loaded weapon, its screen glowing faintly, holding secrets powerful enough to destroy empires, families, and lives. For days, it had been missing, a ghost haunting every conversation, every sideways glance, every lie Billy Abbott and Phyllis Summers told themselves to justify what they'd done. They'd convinced themselves it was about justice, about exposure, about finally knocking Victor off his throne. But now, as Phyllis's trembling fingers hover over the keyboard and Billy's breath comes fast and shallow, the truth is impossible to ignore. This was never about justice. This was about obsession, vengeance, and a hunger to win at any cost. Phyllis finds it first, the folder buried beneath layers of encrypted files, its name innocuous, almost mocking. Her heart slams against her ribs as she clicks it open, eyes scanning faster and faster as realization dawns. Financial manipulations, political payoffs, surveillance logs, leverage on judges, doctors, rivals, even on his own children. Proof. Real proof. The kind that doesn't just ruin Victor Newman but rewrites the history of his reign. Billy sees her face drain of color and knows instantly that this is it. This is the moment they've been chasing, the moment that makes every sleepless night, every crossed line, every lie worth it. "We've got him," Billy whispers, awe and terror tangled in his voice. Phyllis nods, but there's no triumph in her eyes, only fear. Because she knows Victor Newman better than anyone, and she knows men like him don't fall quietly. As if summoned by her thoughts, Victor's voice cuts through the air, low and dangerous. "Enjoying yourself?" He stands in the doorway, leaning heavily on his cane, eyes sharp despite the pallor creeping into his face. The shock freezes them both. Billy's pulse roars in his ears. Phyllis's fingers slam the laptop shut on instinct, as if that could erase what she's seen. Victor steps forward, one slow, deliberate step at a time, and for a moment, the power dynamic snaps back into place. This is his office, his kingdom, his rules. "You should have stayed out of this," Victor says, his voice trembling not with fear but with fury. "You've stolen from me. You've trespassed. And now you think you can just walk away?" Billy bristles, years of resentment boiling over. He steps between Victor and Phyllis, his voice shaking with rage. "You don't get to threaten us anymore. Not after what you've done. Not after what's on that laptop." Victor's lips curl into a thin, humorless smile. "You think that piece of metal gives you power over me?" he scoffs. "I am the power." But even as he speaks, his hand presses against his chest, his breath hitching ever so slightly. Phyllis notices. Of course she does. She always notices. And for a split second, something like concern flickers across her face before being crushed beneath panic. The argument escalates fast, voices rising, years of hatred exploding into the open. Billy accuses Victor of destroying lives for sport, of manipulating his children, of playing God with people's futures. Phyllis throws in her own venom, reminding Victor of every lie, every betrayal, every time he used her and discarded her like a pawn. Victor fires back with brutal precision, cutting them down with truths they don't want to hear. Billy's self-destructive streak, his jealousy of Jack, Phyllis's addiction to chaos, her inability to stop herself from crossing the line even when it costs her everything. The room feels too small, the air too thin, the tension unbearable. And then it happens. Victor staggers. At first, Billy thinks it's a trick, another manipulation, another ploy to regain control. But then Victor's cane clatters to the floor, and he grabs the edge of the desk, his face contorting in pain. Phyllis gasps as Victor's knees buckle and he collapses, hitting the floor with a sickening thud. The sound echoes through the office like a gunshot. For a heartbeat, time stops. Victor Newman, the man who has survived kidnappings, assassinations, wars, and betrayals, lies motionless on the floor, struggling to breathe. "Oh my God," Phyllis whispers, rushing forward on instinct before fear yanks her back. Victor's chest heaves, his eyes glassy as he tries and fails to speak. Billy stares, frozen, his mind racing. Call for help.
Run. Stay. Leave.
Every option flashes before him in rapid succession, each carrying consequences he can barely comprehend. Phyllis looks at him, panic etched into every line of her face. "Billy, if we're here when someone finds him," she doesn't finish the sentence because she doesn't have to. They both know what it would look like. They both know how Victor Newman operates and how his enemies tend to end up. The laptop sits on the desk, silent and damning. Billy swallows hard. "We can't leave him," he says, even as his feet betray him, inching backward. "He needs help." Phyllis's voice rises, shrill with terror. "And what happens to us if we stay? You think he won't blame us for this? You think he won't destroy us the second he wakes up?" She glances at Victor, then at the door, then back at Billy. Her hands are shaking violently now. "This is our chance. The laptop proves everything. We take it, we go, and we survive." Victor lets out a weak, broken sound, half breath, half plea. His fingers twitch against the floor, reaching for nothing. For a moment, guilt slams into Billy so hard it almost knocks him off balance. This is Victor Newman. The devil himself, yes, but also a man, a father, a husband. Leaving him here feels like crossing a line that can never be uncrossed. Billy looks down at him, voice cracking. "I never wanted this." Victor's eyes flicker toward him, burning with rage even now. "You always want destruction," Victor rasps. "You just pretend it's righteousness." Phyllis snaps. "Stop it. He's manipulating you even now." She grabs Billy's arm, nails digging into his skin. "We don't have time for this. Someone could walk in at any second." Billy hesitates, torn between conscience and survival, between the man he wants to be and the man he's become. Then Victor coughs violently, his body convulsing, and fear tips the scales. Billy's heart pounds as he reaches for the laptop, yanking it free and shoving it into his bag. The weight of it feels enormous, like he's carrying not just a device but a death sentence. "I'm sorry," Billy mutters, not sure if he's speaking to Victor, to himself, or to the version of his soul that's still screaming at him to do the right thing. Phyllis doesn't look back as she heads for the door. Billy follows, every step heavier than the last. Behind them, Victor lies on the floor, gasping, his world narrowing to pain and darkness. The door clicks shut with a finality that echoes louder than any explosion. The great Victor Newman is alone. As Billy and Phyllis flee through the corridors, adrenaline surging, the enormity of what they've done begins to sink in. Phyllis's mind races with calculations: who to contact, where to hide, how to release the information without it leading straight back to them. But beneath the strategy, beneath the bravado, terror coils tight in her chest. If Victor dies, if he dies, this goes beyond revenge. This becomes something unforgivable. Billy, meanwhile, feels sick. Every flash of memory, Victor standing tall, Victor crushing his enemies, Victor protecting his family, collides with the image of him broken on the floor. He tells himself Victor will survive. He always does.
He has to.
Back in the office, time stretches cruelly. Victor's breathing grows shallow, his vision blurring as he fights to stay conscious. Faces flicker through his mind. Nikki, his children, his enemies, his allies. Rage burns hottest of all. Billy Abbott. Phyllis Summers. Betrayal has always fueled Victor Newman, and even now, on the edge of collapse, it keeps him alive. Somewhere, somehow, he manages to reach his phone, fingers clumsy and numb. The screen blurs, but he taps a name by instinct. Help is coming, maybe too late, maybe just in time. When the door finally bursts open and voices fill the room, the laptop is gone, and so are Billy and Phyllis. Victor is rushed to the hospital, clinging to life, his condition critical. Word spreads through Genoa City like wildfire. Nikki is frantic. The Newman children are shaken. Jack senses opportunity and danger. And somewhere, hiding in the shadows with a stolen laptop and blood on their hands, Billy and Phyllis realize that they haven't just stolen evidence, they've ignited a war. Because Victor Newman doesn't forgive. He doesn't forget. And if he survives, when he survives, the hunt will begin. The fallout is immediate and merciless, rippling outward from Victor Newman's collapsed body like shockwaves from an earthquake, shattering alliances, exposing hidden fears, and dragging every corner of Genoa City into a nightmare that no one can escape. In the hospital, machines beep in relentless rhythm as Victor lies unconscious, tubes snaking from his body, his face ashen yet stubbornly defiant even in stillness. Nikki stands at his bedside, clutching his hand as if sheer will can keep his heart beating. Her eyes burn with fury and terror in equal measure because she knows this wasn't an accident. This was an attack. Maybe not with a weapon, but with cruelty just as lethal. And somewhere out there, Billy Abbott and Phyllis Summers are breathing free air while Victor Newman fights for his life. News spreads fast. By the time Jack Abbott hears what happened, the pieces fall into place with chilling clarity. The missing laptop. Billy's erratic behavior. Phyllis's barely contained panic the last time Jack saw her. Jack doesn't want to believe it, not fully, but his gut tells him the truth is uglier than he imagined. He feels the familiar pull of divided loyalty, torn between protecting his brother and confronting the monstrous implications of what Billy may have done. Because if Billy and Phyllis were there when Victor collapsed and they fled, that's not just theft. That's abandonment. That's something darker. Something that could destroy them all. Billy, meanwhile, is unraveling. The adrenaline that fueled their escape drains away, leaving behind a hollow, buzzing dread that gnaws at his insides. Every siren they pass makes him flinch. Every shadow looks like a Newman enforcer waiting to drag him into the dark. He replays the moment over and over. Victor falling, the sound of his body hitting the floor, the way his eyes locked onto Billy's as if burning his face into memory. Phyllis tries to keep him focused, barking orders, laying out plans, but even she can't fully suppress the tremor in her hands. She tells herself Victor will live. He always does. But there's a voice in her head, quiet, insistent, that whispers, what if this time is different? They hole up in a temporary safe house, curtains drawn, phones discarded, the laptop sitting between them like a ticking bomb. When Phyllis finally opens it again, the weight of what they've stolen presses down on her chest. This isn't just leverage. This is annihilation. Names of powerful figures, illicit deals spanning decades, proof that Victor Newman's empire was built not just on brilliance, but on calculated destruction. Billy stares at the screen, equal parts vindicated and horrified. This ends him, he says, his voice hollow. Phyllis doesn't answer right away. Because now that Victor is lying in a hospital bed, the victory feels poisoned. If they release this now and Victor dies, they won't just be whistleblowers. They'll be executioners. Back at Newman Enterprises, the power vacuum is immediate. Victoria steps in with icy precision, masking her fear behind ruthless efficiency. She demands answers. Security footage. Access logs. She knows her father's enemies better than anyone, and Billy Abbott tops the list. Adam circles like a shark, pretending concern while quietly calculating how this chaos could be turned to his advantage. Nick is torn apart, desperate to believe his father will survive while simmering with rage at whoever dared to push him to the brink. The unspoken question hangs heavy in every room. Who did this to Victor Newman? When whispers begin to surface about Billy and Phyllis being seen near Victor's office that night, Nikki's grief hardens into something lethal. She demands justice, not caring who gets burned in the process. They left him to die, she spits, her voice shaking with raw emotion. They will pay for that. Jack hears this and feels the walls closing in. He confronts Billy in a moment of recklessness, tracking him down despite every instinct screaming that it's dangerous. When Billy opens the door and sees his brother, his face crumples. He doesn't deny it. He can't. Jack's fury explodes, not just at Billy, but at himself for failing to stop this spiral before it went too far. Phyllis watches from the shadows, heart pounding. She knows Jack's involvement complicates everything. Jack is a liability now, emotional, unpredictable, capable of doing something stupid in the name of family. She pulls Billy aside after Jack leaves, her voice sharp with urgency. "We can't afford this. If Jack cracks, we're done." Billy snaps back, guilt and fear fueling his anger. "He's my brother." Phyllis fires right back. "And Victor Newman is a force of nature. Choose which one you're willing to lose." As Victor's condition worsens, the pressure becomes unbearable. The doctors speak in cautious tones, warning Nikki and the family that the next 24 hours are critical. Complications. Stress-induced cardiac trauma. Nikki refuses to leave his side, whispering promises and threats alike into his ear. "You don't get to leave me," she says fiercely. "Not like this. Not when there are people who need to answer for what they've done." Somewhere beneath the haze, Victor hears her. Rage flickers. Survival instinct kicks in. He refuses to let Billy Abbott be the one who ends him. When Victor finally opens his eyes, the room seems to hold its breath. Nikki bursts into tears, calling his name, while Victoria immediately demands updates. Victor's voice is weak, but unmistakably ironclad. "They took it," he rasps. "The laptop." Nikki stiffens. "Who?" Victor's eyes burn with remembered fury. "Billy Abbott and Phyllis Summers." The declaration is a death sentence. The hunt begins. Victor's recovery is slow, but his mind is razor-sharp. From his hospital bed, he orchestrates a counterattack with chilling efficiency, pulling strings, calling in favors, unleashing investigators and legal hounds. He doesn't go public yet, not until he knows exactly what Billy and Phyllis plan to do. He wants them cornered, desperate, afraid. He wants them to feel what he felt on that floor. Meanwhile, Billy and Phyllis sense the shift almost immediately. Bank accounts freeze. Allies go silent. Safe options vanish one by one. The walls are closing in. Phyllis argues they need to release the information now, strike first before Victor regains full strength. Billy hesitates, haunted by Victor's near-death, by Jack's shattered expression, by the possibility that once this is out, there's no turning back. Their arguments grow vicious, exposing cracks in their alliance. Phyllis accuses Billy of weakness. Billy accuses Phyllis of pushing him past the point of no return. The truth is, they're both terrified, not just of Victor Newman, but of who they've become. And then the bomb drops. Victor Newman is awake, stable, angry. Genoa City braces for impact. Billy stands alone one night, staring at the laptop, knowing the next move will define the rest of his life. Release it and burn the Newman empire to the ground, but ignite a war he may not survive. Hold it back and watch Victor destroy everything and everyone he loves in retaliation. Somewhere in the city, Victor Newman stares out a hospital window, eyes cold, already plotting vengeance. He survived being left on the floor. He will not survive being humiliated. And neither, he promises himself, will Billy Abbott or Phyllis Summers escape what's coming. The tension tightens like a noose as every player senses the final act approaching, the air in Genoa City heavy with dread and inevitability. Jack can barely sleep, haunted by the knowledge that his brother is standing on the edge of an abyss with no clear way back. He wrestles with an impossible choice: protect Billy and risk becoming complicit in something unforgivable, or turn him in and save what little remains of their family's soul. Each time his phone buzzes, his heart jumps, half expecting it to be Victor's enforcers, or worse, news that Billy has made a move that can't be undone. Phyllis, pacing their hideout like a caged animal, feels the walls closing in faster now. Victor's fingerprints are everywhere, frozen assets, quiet threats, people who suddenly can't get involved. For the first time in a long time, fear outweighs her thrill for chaos. She knows Victor isn't just trying to stop them, he's trying to break them psychologically, to make them turn on each other.
And it's working.
Every glance Billy gives her is sharper, more suspicious, as if he's already deciding how much of the blame belongs to her. Meanwhile, Victor's recovery becomes a spectacle of ruthless resolve. He may be weak in body, but his presence dominates every room. To Nikki and his children, he vows this betrayal will not go unanswered. To his enemies, he offers nothing but silence, a silence more terrifying than any threat. He wants Billy and Phyllis alive, exposed, and stripped of everything they thought gave them power.